Hello, and well, I'm back. These guys were with you like all last month for the final tournament of the regular season. I had a little cold that I'm mostly over now. So I'm feeling pretty good and really excited to be back for the World Championship. We are going to have just an absolute jam-packed weekend full of action. Today we're live because, guys, last month's tournament, some teams were moving all over the table, but Alex eighth place is still not decided. We're going to show the circuit points in a minute, but Alex, like Cortiva against Astragon today, a lot to play for.
Absolutely, it was a really hard fight in that last tournament, and yeah, Ashgun managed to get up there with Cortiva and secure that sort of eighth place playoff, and yeah, really exciting to see it this close, getting into the top eight. What do you think, Copter?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, every time when you like compete the whole season, basically the half a year of time, and then you come up with the equal points all the way before the World Championship. So definitely that needs to mean that it has been a tight series so far. And of course, I mean they have a lot to play for. The one who's going to lose the game is going to be, of course, dropping out of the tournament. So they will not proceed to the finals at all. And then the team who's going to win it, they have to face Trelleborg on the finals. So that's not easy either. So definitely an interesting lineup coming.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that a bit before we show the circuit points. So 2 months ago, we saw for the first time Trelleborg knocked off their perch and Vermeer's Flamboyance. By the way, big news there. They are now Team New Holland. I think, Alex, you're a little bit excited about New Holland being
I'm
in
a little bit
FSL,
excited.
maybe?
There's a team. There's a New Holland team. I can get behind that. That's good. Of course, we'll be completely
Yeah,
impartial during these, but yeah,
yeah,
I
we're not
think one of
supposed to
my
show
emotes might
bias,
be
but
getting a lot of use.
yeah. Yeah, when it comes to your case, everyone knows about your love for New Holland already. But yeah, so Trelleborg won last month's tournament, right, in the final against Vermeer's Flamboyance. We're having a look at the circuit points now. So there you see it. The teams 1 through 7, they're already set to play this weekend, but eighth place ended up with Astragon and Cortiva tied at 90 circuit points apiece. So they are squaring off today for the right to move on to the rest of the weekend. Copter, what do you think about heading into the weekend? This is going to be, of course, you've been with us all season long, but this will be your first tournament final with us. So how are you feeling this weekend?
Yeah, it's definitely my first World Championship. I mean, the first season of Farming Simulator Esports has been, well, this year. So, of course, it's going to be the first World Championship as well. But definitely, I mean, the competition so far, I mean, all the tournaments which we have done, all the 6 of them online, they have been tight. There has been a lot of things going on. And we actually have the players already coming in. So we can see the Cortiva players marching to the area. And I'm guessing they're going to be followed by also players from Astragon.
I'm so excited that we have the in-person event going on. Of course, we're still remotely casting, but it's really cool that we've been able to finally add our cameras into the broadcast. But it's really awesome that we have the teams this weekend in our studio in Erlangen in Germany and participating for the first time this season. All of them will be there together in person. It's so much cooler when you can see the reactions of the streamers and or the casters and the players as well. So there you see Homer and Steven the Red Cat, a couple of the German casters there, and here comes Astragon. Astragon, kind enough or crazy enough, I don't know how you would say it, to let me play in the show match at FarmCon on their team. As you see Bauer Matza and crew walking in. And yeah, there's a lot to play for here. I think that we're just about ready to get underway, and Copter will be joining back with us here in a bit. So, Copter, go have some pancakes, some coffee, maybe whatever
Not
you
yet.
need here at a moment.
Yeah. I will. I mean,
What
as
do
soon
you?
as the game is going to start, I'm going to be disappearing, but I'll be here for before the game start at least.
Yeah.
Like,
So, Copter, you have speaking of pancakes, before you go, you got a little something special maybe going on this weekend to do with some pancakes, are you?
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I made a promise last online tournament. I made a promise that I'm going to host a pancake stream during the World Championship. I'm going to hold on
Ooh.
that promise. So tomorrow, Saturday evening, after the official broadcast, let's see, maybe a couple hours later, I'll tell you the exact time tomorrow when we know what time we're going to be ending. And there's going to be a pancake stream on my channel. So I'm going to be making a pancake on my own kitchen, and you can all watch it. And there's going to be some, let's say, FSL perks included as well. So will be definitely interesting. So hope all of you guys who have been enjoying the pancake stuff, maybe you want to enjoy and join us tomorrow on that. But there's going to be more information about that tomorrow.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. That's going to be fun to see. Just like we have lots of FSL action, of course, like pancakes have become a meme. And I've had some questions, by the way, from some of you. Farming Simulator 22 had the latest expansion come out this past week with the Platinum expansion. And there's a Waffle Hut as a production in the game. And some people are upset that it's waffles and not pancakes. I hear you loud and clear, but yeah, I did not have anything to do with this. So that's all I can tell you. We're having a look now. Again, there's Major Malone and Bauer Matza and Astragon getting their game faces on. A lot to play for. So actually last year, the Bauer Matza was also on a team last year, Alex, if you remember, that had the play-in. We had 16 teams last year, so 16th place was undecided. We had a little playoff for 16th place, and he was on that team, and they won and had the right to face Trelleborg, and the same things at stake here. All right, Copter will now be stepping away for a moment. Cortiva against Astragon. Alex, how excited are you?
Oh, I'm so excited. We haven't seen a huge amount from Cortiva this season. They had a good couple of a good couple of moves into the finals tournaments earlier in the season, but they haven't really made it into the final later on. Whereas Astragon have been the complete opposite. They weren't getting in early on in the season, and they really hit their stride late in the season. So it will be interesting to see whether Cortiva are able to pull it back and beat Astragon here, or whether Astragon's form will continue and they'll knock Cortiva out.
Yeah, well, and so like I think it's important to remember too that like, of course, both of these teams want to move on, and what is awaiting them is a matchup against Trelleborg. But once we get into tomorrow, Alex, it's going to be double elimination. So even if you win this in advance and you're like, oh, okay, well, great, now we have to face Trelleborg, who's won every tournament except for one this season. I think you should still be kind of confident that you can continue to move on throughout the weekend as it is double elimination. Of course, they have every right that they could cause an upset, but just making it is pretty huge because you're going to get, if you finish in 5th to 8th place, you get 1,000 euros. So like that's something, right? But since it's double elimination, who knows? Maybe the team that wins this can find a way for the results to go their way and make it into 3rd or 4th place, and then all of a sudden you're talking about 4,000 euros. So yeah, there's no reason to be like afraid of moving on, right? Because there's still plenty at stake.
And we say it about the fact that whichever team wins this is going to be facing Trelleborg. They don't necessarily need to win that match against Trelleborg in order to pass along to the finals, because you can win, you can lose one game and still make it through. So yeah, it's even there. It's not the most daunting thing. So yeah, there are second chances in the grand finals. You do get to have a shaky start, lose a match, and still go all the way to winning it. And I think we have seen that one year even.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
our teams are.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. You're doing great.
I was going to say, and so our teams are heading off. We've got a fight for the ideal combine, and it looks like we've got a fight. Oh, why are Cortiva are fighting with themselves? It looks like Cortiva managed to get the ideal combine.
You talk about disruption all the time, Alex. I don't think you've ever quite meant it to be team on team disruption. Not maybe the way that you want to go.
Both team members going for the same piece of kit is not a good idea. You really want to be going for your own piece of kit, because otherwise the opposition get a chance to grab one more piece of kit that they wouldn't otherwise. So yeah, odd little mistake there from from Cortiva. Not quite sure why they ended up going for the same piece of kit.
Yeah, so by the way, everyone in chat, hello, and it's awesome that you were all here with us on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. I've seen a question, how long will today's broadcast go? So we only have the 8th place play-in here, so this is deciding who is the 8th seed moving on to tomorrow. This is a best of 3 like usual, so you've got probably about an hour or so. The final on Sunday will be best of 5, so expect that to be a little bit different once we get to that stage at the end of the weekend. And then because we have all of the teams in person in our studio in Germany, looks like Matza kind of missing the lineup a little bit here.
Oh,
and
that's not good.
Yeah, maybe some nerve setting in. But yeah, we do have player interviews. We'll have the captain from each winning team joining us for an interview. It will be done in German, but Neil's one of our audio team members and also a producer of the Farming Simulator League broadcast will be translating it to us in English so that we can share that information along for you all. But yeah, Alex, I mean, you don't want to come in to the World Championship weekend and start making mistakes early, although because it is double elimination after tomorrow, you can make mistakes. But this is the one matchup where you can't afford to make mistakes this weekend, because if you lose this, you're not moving on.
And that's the thing, those crucial seconds of having to turn around and get that first bail in are so costly. I mean, it's 31 points between the teams before even the second bail has been delivered. And that's a bail and a half at the current multiplier that Astragon have to score in order just to even things up. That's not good. That is not good at all.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because we've had, in the past, you've been doing the FSL since the very beginning. But this season has been kind of unique in that the entire season has taken place offline, except for like during OMA, there was a couple of teams there in person. And now, of course, this weekend, we've got teams back in person as well. But maybe it's an issue of like not playing on their own keyboards and equipment, and it's going to take some time to adjust this weekend. But yeah, you can't afford to come in and make these mistakes in this game of all games. It is best of 3 elimination, and there's still plenty of time to go for Astragon to turn things around, as we're starting to see Cortiva deliver some grain now. Both teams have picked up speed limit. Meanwhile, we're having a look now at Bauer Matza from Astragon bringing their grain in. So presumably we're going to be evened back up here in the multiplier at the moment.
It's very much a play-for-play game, this. Not seeing any massive disruption from either team. Both teams getting the slowdown, so it's evened up there. It seems like Cortiva have it going for a little bit longer, but that could be just because they picked it up after Astragon. I don't think there was a massive difference in it beyond that. So yeah, it's a very even game so far, and we're just waiting for the thing that changes and causes one team to go obviously ahead. Having said that, if this keeps going like it is, it's very possible that thing could be the first bail, and it would not be the first time that we've seen that happen.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy moments in every season of the FSL. This one has been no different. Oh man, I'm just now thinking about a few tournaments ago when we had the game that went to like the 4th or 5th tiebreaker down the list. That was the furthest we've ever seen that happen. That was very interesting to see. And if we're gonna be in store for some of those types of moments this weekend, Alex, like we're in for a treat, and so are the viewers for sure.
I think that's what's been the great thing about this season is the fact that the games have been so close, and over the season we've seen so many teams just improve and improve and improve. I mean, New Holland, when they were fairly flamboyant halfway through the season, they had no points on the table, and then they're, that back 2/3 of the season, they just scored and scored and scored, and they're up second place with 400 points. and we've seen so many teams upping their game and pushing Trelleborg as well. You know, with New Holland actually beating them a couple of tournaments ago, and other teams, you know, taking games off them. It's been great to see the teams develop and how close the games have got this season. It's just been really exciting.
I would have liked to have like an inside look at your brain just a moment ago when you said Team New Holland instead of Vermeer's Flamboyance, as we announced earlier. They are now sponsored by New Holland, but like how excited, like I feel like a little bit of a light bulb or something just went off in your head, like a little bit of an inner smile when you were able to say that, Alex, because of your love for
It,
New
it,
Holland.
it has been quite nice. I mean, it is no secret that I am a New Holland fan, and to have a team in the FSL that is representing the New Holland brand is fantastic. So I'm really pleased.
And
to
I
see,
think it's really cool
that,
that like Vermeers deserve it as well. Like they have really taken
Oh god.
the FSL by storm this season, and they have earned that second place in the standings. So now that they're New Holland, like it is definitely well deserved. It's hopefully I don't slip up anymore. I've gotten so used to calling them Vermeers, Flamboyance, now New Holland, and that's what they're participating as this weekend and the World Championships. But Alex, what do you think? Because you've been around the entire 4 years that we've been doing the FSL, as we see the 8th minute drops there on the screen. Neither team yet to pick them up. So you've been around since the beginning, and the scene has kind of shifted a bit throughout those years. And this year, of course, I think at least that it's come down more to like individual skill with the removal of Transport Company, which was always going to be controversial at the beginning of the season. But I mean, there's a little bit less parity in the fact that Trelleborg have won all but one tournaments, but I think that we've seen like a rise in the quality, especially places like third and fourth on down to the 8th place of these two teams. It's been a little bit different, and we've seen a wider variety of teams really be able to make it into the latter stages.
Absolutely. I think this is the closest season we've had. Yes, Trelleborg have been dominant, but who's that coming in? That is Cortiva coming in and clipping the barn on their way in. But this is the first season where, while Trelleborg have still been so dominant at winning, they have been pushed the whole season. They haven't had an easy route to every single one of their wins, and in one case, you know, they were knocked out. So it's been very, very nice to see teams improving and getting to the point where they can push the best teams in the league and close that gap. And in fact, nowhere is that more evident than the fact that we have this playoff today. Because teams have been so close in this top 8 ranking that we've needed it, and so many teams were moving about last tournament that we were looking at it and going, are we going to have a 3-team playoff or a 4-team playoff? And the fact that it is only a 2-team playoff in itself is a little bit of a surprise.
Right. By the way, I see Donner Kyle in chat on Twitch. Hello, Donner Kyle. Good to see you, and thanks for, he helped us out in chat by saying, yeah, it's definitely a known problem when you go from playing online into an in-person event, and it's a totally new setup, and you don't have your settings tuned to you, and no one would know better than him as far as people I see in chat, because he, of course, is formerly of Team Manitou and competing this season as well, so... Hello to you. I also saw JK from Trelleborg. He said he was in the hallway watching us. Everyone is probably starting to arrive, and it's really cool that the FSL guys, Alex, can be there in person together again, because of course they all want to win. These moments right now, as we see a look at the faces on Team Astragon, the focus is there. They want to win. They want to advance as far as they can, but I feel like these guys just enjoy like being together, hanging out, and having a good time. So it's good that they get to kind of meet up in person again for the first time this year.
Yeah, and half the FSL was always, you know, being there and meeting up with people and getting to chat with everybody, because it is such a great community, and the FSL. I mean, Farm Sim itself is such a great community, but the FSL, just like the rest of it, is an extension of that, and is just such a great group of people.
Yeah, so Feldon actually caught it in Twitch chat for us before we're kind of reminiscing, we're kind of setting the stage for the weekend. I promise you we'll get back to actually calling the action as well. Bail points have been picked up by Cortiva, which is huge because Feldon pointed out that Astragon do have a grain multiplier advantage. So they're behind right now by 90 points, Astragon, but they are going to be scoring 4 points per Bail extra at the moment. So this is going to end up with 3.5 to go, Alex, being a little bit closer than maybe we expected with how the round started.
Very much so. It's so close between these two teams. You can actually see why they are in 8th place. Both of them are in 8th place. They are playing such a similar game, and that bit of advantage that Astragon have got is really going to play to the strength of that in these final 3 minutes, because both teams are bringing in a similar number of bales. I mean, it's 15 bales to 15 bales at the moment. It's 30 points behind for Astragon.
Yeah, it's that first bale, though, still.
It is. Oh, it is. Absolutely. But Astragon are now...
That might be what saves Cortiva, is that first bale.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. With 4 extra
Astragon
points,
in the lead now, though.
Every bale. There we go. That has eaten up that difference.
It's 4 points now, the lead for Astragon.
Preventing the combo. Lucas unloading. And yeah. Cortiva have got an uphill battle now in this last 2 minutes to win this.
Yeah, now Astragon into a nice 50-ish point lead, and it keeps going up. They do have 3 extra bales right now, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. It could come down to who doesn't get all of them delivered into the top at this point. And a good bit of disruption, would you say, Alex, by Astragon, and getting close to that combo. They're already getting extra points per bale, and Cortiva didn't get the combo like breaker bonus points, the counter points. So basically they wasted 8 points they could have gotten on that bale as well, because they couldn't afford to let Astragon get that bale combo.
Yeah, it's forcing Cortiva into putting one in the bottom, and Cortiva actually not waiting for a moment. They had the time. They could have waited for a moment, got the combo blocking multiplier points, and ended up closing the gap. As it is, you're right. They wasted 8 points. They ended up putting a bale in the bottom, and the leads that Astragon have is just pulling out all the time.
Yeah, and unless Elite Coffee here drops some of these off of the belt, it does look like Astragon is going to take this first of the best of 3 here. But these two teams already, I think, no matter who ends up winning the first round, are setting the stage about how close we can expect some of these matchups to be this weekend, especially as we get later on into the weekend and you start to see it take shape with the best teams making it through. 717 now to 577, and Astragon have pulled into an insurmountable lead at this point, as Cortiva have been a little bit late getting some of their bales in. So, I mean, Cortiva had the nice jump start with the first bale. Cortiva picked up the bale point super drop, and Astragon, though, meanwhile, have bounced back. As you see the fist bumps, I mean, this is what we've been missing out on, Alex, is being able to see the reactions of the players. And then, of course, look at Cortiva now. They're all looking at each other and figuring out how they're going to bounce back, because they are now on the brink of not moving on this weekend. So 31 bales to 28, 749 to 607 the score. Cortiva left 7 bales out there. The delivered grain was nearly, slightly over, actually, 500 extra liters, or 5,000 extra liters for Astragon. So whenever that happens, Alex, it's going to be tough to bounce back from. You don't want the multiplier disadvantage to be against you for several minutes of a round.
No, and that's the thing. It's having that multiplier against them to the 2.2 was the killer. I mean, 2.1 is hard to come back from. 2.2 just piles on the points, and you've got to deliver so many more bales. I think the only team we've ever seen have a 2.2 multiplier against them who have then gone on to win it is Trelleborg, and that is simply because they produce and deliver so many bales in that last 5 to 8 minutes that they can make up that difference. Yeah, the pressure now is really on Cortiva. They've got to win this second match. If they don't, they're out. And it would be odds to have a final without Cortiva in it, to be honest. It would be the first time that they've not made it. So, yeah.
Yeah, traditionally you're right. We're used to seeing them in it. The scene has kind of shifted. They've had some players go to other teams. We've seen a lot of shifts in teams over the past 2 seasons that I've been a part. Of course, Valtra this season was formerly LSA last season, and of course Trelleborg was able to get Martin from Team Valtra, Team Valtra last season. Now, of course, on Trelleborg. Trelleborg has gotten even stronger in season 4 with that pickup and just being able to swap out any set of 3 and still be able to produce that same level of quality is quite something special. Way too early to look now as we're waiting to start this second one. We're going to show you guys the bracket later, but the first round matchups that we're going to have, the winner of this one, of course, whoever wins this best of 3 is moving on to face Trelleborg. It is a double elimination. But for me, Alex, I think my first one to watch out for in the first round starting tomorrow is game 2A in Group A, My Insanity versus Bednar. This is kind of like a middle of the table type of fight. My Insanity, the 3rd seed, against Bednar, the 6th seed. Bednar, though, up until last month, I think we're 4th place. And now Alex is going to step away for us, and in comes Copter now to join me on the broadcasts. So, Maddie, how you feeling after sitting back and watching that first one?
I mean, yeah, definitely Astragon did well. They kind of recovered from the first Bale loss and still managed to win the series, so that is, of course, well done. And, if I'm completely honest, in a way, I'm expecting Cortiva to kind of like tie the series because I think that they definitely have what it takes. So we'll just have to wait and see if they will find a way of winning the second game and kind of like taking the series to the third match. It's a pretty hard. The game in general, because it's only best of 3, and you have a lot on the line. Just imagine going there to Erlang, playing one best of 3 series, and then heading back home. So it's pretty hard one.
Yeah, this is maybe one of the most pressure-heavy matchups of the weekend because starting tomorrow, you know that you can lose 2 times. These guys can't afford to go out here, or this is where their weekend ends, as you said. So, pretty similar setup. We've got Bottleneck and the Ideal. The only difference here is Astragon's going for the Corona Big Pack 1290, and Cortiva go with the Case LB 436 for their Baylor. But yeah, you said it. Cortiva up against it now. They do have the quality to bounce back and force the third of the best of 3, but only the next 15 minutes or so is going to be the deciding factor of that.
Yeah, let's see. No surprises there on the captain's picks and bans, to be honest. So we are seeing the same methodology that we have seen earlier on the season as well. I think we have seen a lot of changes on these as well during the season. Not that heavily, but still I think that the importance of the grain came and the multiplier, just like on the previous match, it has been more coming to the scene. Let's say it like that. So definitely things have been evolving. Not expecting much of changes here on the player picks, as we can see the usual ones under pressure: Archimedes, runner, and this is another trend that has started like lately, that there is just no points anymore for some of the player perks, for example. So we don't see the runner on the other side, and we don't see the under pressure on the other side. So that is actually quite interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, under pressure is one that I've gotten used to seeing a lot, especially because it allows you to press bales for a lower amount of straw. But Astragon pretty confident, I would say, after how that first round went. They know that all they need to do is win this one, and they're moving on to tomorrow. But here we go. The next 15 minutes will decide whether this is it for the games today, or if we'll have the third of the best of three, as we have a battle right away for the John Deere Combine that Elite Caffey from Astragon loses out on. Also, meanwhile, Cortiva picking up the New Holland baler, and it looks like Caffey is now going to run on foot. Luckily, has the runner perk and is running for the Case Combine. And we're going to be underway now, Maddie, for the first bales. Ravlik's getting straight to it. This could be a decent one if he delivers it properly.
Yeah, it looks very good actually for Cortiva. They need these. They definitely need. They won the battles at the pads. That is something that they very heavily needed, and now they seems to be getting the first bale as well. But anything can happen, so I'm not gonna call it yet. We have seen some misses on the swings, because Ravlik's actually, they should be like more than 140. Please get that. He's not gonna swing it. He's gonna take that easily, and that is the right call. It's still gonna be 144 points, so it's definitely a well done first bale, especially when you're not swinging it. So they will take the early lead, and they will not do the same mistake which they did on the previous match, and that's gonna give them a fighting chance definitely, if they can keep that lead.
Yeah, they actually got 12 more points than last time. I think it was 132 and 144. Matza last time did not line up properly on the delivery, and they ended up 30 points behind. It ended up not costing them. It looks like he's a little bit crooked here, but I think that might just about go in. But this time, 33 points. That is a pretty big gap, but pretty close to what it was in the first round, too. So if Astragon perform the same and are able to get the multiplier combo, then they're going to be A-OK. The next 13 minutes will decide it, as now we're going to get back to harvesting and collecting of the grain. We saw both of these teams delivering grain last round about at the same time.
Yeah, the difference is, Alex would say that it's about 1.6 bales based on the quick math here once again. But yeah, the grain is definitely a factor we have seen. I think when we started the whole season, I think that, of course, the grain was there, but I don't think that we saw let's say, deep strategies with the grain at that point. We saw a lot of grain being used, but I think that now the importance of the grain, and especially depending which drops are going to be picked from the field, I think the game has changed. We see that teams are still playing with the grain when there's 7 minutes of time remaining. So it's something that has been I think going longer every tournament we have seen so far. So first couple tournaments, I think the grain game was done in a pretty early stage. Then then we started to wait for the 8-minute drop, and now we are still sometimes playing with the grain well past the 8-minute drop as well. So it has reached a new level, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few different changes, and I think part of what has helped with the amount of grain is the speed of the harvesters being increased in Season 4 for sure. It's putting more emphasis just across all of the important aspects of the FSL, I would say. A high bale count doesn't always mean a victory, but I would say maybe 75-80% of the season, the team that has had the higher amount of bales has been able to win. The only way, maybe that is a bit high, because we also have, as you said, seen a lot of grain delivered, and some of those grain multipliers, the bale multiplier points kind of go in teams' favors. So the only way really to combat delivering less bales and winning is to have that high multiplier. So you're scoring more points per bale. And we have seen, Vermeer's Flamboyance a couple of months ago. Nope, there I've done it. Team New Holland a couple of months ago, upsetting Trelleborg in the final by disrupting them. We're so used to seeing Trelleborg deliver a really high volume of bales in each match. And Vermeer is just there. See, I can't help myself. New Holland did a really good job of just disrupting them from the start and throwing them off their game so that they weren't able to focus on getting that high number of bales pressed. As we have a look now, Maddie, at Rablix and Lucas, and yeah, still lots of grain to gather and deliver.
Yeah, and no bales being pressed at all. So they're just collecting the grain. I mean, they're kind of forced to do it because we saw both sides already unloading the first batch of grain, and now they're going to be collecting more. So this is definitely going to take a bit of time. So it's not going to end yet. So they're going to be like preparing the amount of grain for the 8-minute drops if there's going to be something disruptive coming down from the sky. But I think they're pretty even now. I mean, we can see multipliers 2.0. We can see about the same amount of grain already collected, and small differences on the timing. So probably gonna end up with the same amount as well. So this seems to be like a very tight series, and just like I think it was also mentioned on the last game that the first bale might be the difference. We have seen that being the difference quite many times when we have like a similar level of teams battling. They are having the same level of efficiency, and it has been more or less like Trelleborg and New Holland. I think sometimes the other teams from the top 5 as well, which have been able to turn the whole situation upside down, even when they have a very similar, let's say, luck with the with drops and so on, so that there isn't like anything that much disruptive. So it's not that commonly happening that the teams can turn the situation upside down, come up from the huge gaps. Of course, mistakes can cause all kind of things as well. So, belt accidents, we have seen that to happen.
Yeah, of course, and a lot of safer route victims, especially early on. I feel like teams have kind of adapted to the Stonebridge this season with bottleneck in play a lot. Right now, Astragon does have a 2.1 to 1.9 advantage in the multiplier, but neither team as of yet have started pressing bales, so no way to take advantage of that now, but that's something to keep an eye on, as they are not that far behind in total amount of outstanding grain to Cortiva. So will we end up seeing Astragon with a multiplier advantage again in the second round? That would not be good news for Cortiva. They got to make sure that they get every little bit of grain they can delivered, as well as getting some bales pressed. Now we have 2 bales each for the teams as we have a look at Matza here from Astragon with the Corona baler. I have to say, in my personal farming simulator play, my saves, I love that baler so much. If I'm doing a lot of baling for livestock, or if I'm creating silage bales to make a good bit of money, I quite like that thing. You can just keep driving, and it has several options for different sizes of bales to be able to output. And it works really well in the Farming Simulator League as well.
Well, we don't have anything that disruptive on the drops. So, and this is actually looking quite scary. I mean, the strategies for both of the teams, they seem to be quite similar. I mean, they are collecting the grain, they are pressing the bales, they are almost like starting to do it exactly at the same time. And that 1.6 bale difference, which they have on the scores, I mean, it's going to be very tight. This seems to be like a series that, unless there's like something super game changing coming out of the super drop at the end. This is going to be like a very tight series, and it seems to be coming down to the efficiency once again, how they operate the belt. We can see Major Malone being spectated by. That's a new graphic, by the way. I haven't seen that earlier, and this is the new one as well. So very nice images coming from them. But yeah, now the multiplier. I mean, Astragon, and this is actually what happened here. As Astragon, they have taken out all the grain. They had the same amount of grain, but now they have none. And they are still 1.4. So what happened?
Yeah, well, they do have the bale multiplier that they picked up, so maybe they're going to take advantage of that. But you're right, like, kind of missed that moment, to be honest. And Cortiva still have...
There we go.
Okay, that's just because...
We were seeing the player statistics instead of the team.
Yeah, it hides the team. So you're basically, when you're seeing this view, it took me a second to realize that too, Maddie. Yeah, when they're showing us this view of the players, it hides their opponents. So you're basically seeing what the players see. So they can't see how much grain their opponents have outstanding and such. So yeah, I was worried a bit there too. I was like, what happened? Astragon are not in a good shape. I don't think
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
quite the case.
that's a fair. I mean, now when the players are on the land, so they have a chance of like getting more angles from the players' point of views. So I guess they are doing a
Right.
display capture from the land PCs as well. So that's kind of like got baited me out, to be honest. I was like, I mean, yeah, I know this strategy. I know how this works. They have the same amount of grain. They have the bales, and what just happened? They lost everything. But
And it's
no,
bad news.
unfortunately, that is not the case. We can still enjoy a very tight competition.
Yeah, I think it's bad news right now for Cortiva as well, who need to win this to force the third of the best of three. Because Astragon had the bale multiplier, they were able to score a few bales and close that gap, and now they are going to end up with a slight advantage in the multiplier. I think just about. And it's not going to be 2.2 to 1.8 like it was in the first round, but they are now with 450 to go going to score 2 extra points per bale. So not as bad of a shape for Cortiva to be in as they were in that first round, Maddie, but still with a lead, they have to be worried now that they're scoring less points per bale, and Astragon might start closing that gap.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but it's only two points per bale, the difference. So I'm not really that much worried about it. Of course, it's something. I think it's I mean it's a pretty fair game now. It should be just coming all the way down to the efficiency, how well you're doing. And if I'm honest, I think Cortiva was actually on the winning side of it. So yes, they're gonna score a couple points less, but they are so much in the lead. They also won the battle with the first bale. So I mean, this is really looking good for Cortiva, if you ask from me. But what do I know?
Yeah.
I'm just
Super Drop's about
to.
to drop as well, so what is it going to be? And here Astragon are going to get it, and that is huge because that is just 3 bales scored straight away with the Lord Baylor picked up. So that's some nice bonus points there for Astragon. So that could help them get back into it as they now only trail by 3. And they do have 5 less bales right now, though, so that has to be worrying for them because that would switch it back into the favor of Cortiva as they are now in the lead 368, 387 to 327.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
Astragon was a bit far away on the points, but they managed to get some bales on the belt, and now they are kind of like evening the scoreline. So, yeah, now this whole situation seems to be going upside down more or less. So we can see it clearly. 3 minutes on the clock, and I mean, they just need to get those bales on the belt. So this is going to be a very tight battle, and I'm quite sure that we will see still during the last seconds when they're trying to stack the bales and just get them inside. So this really will come down to the very last bales, and they need to be able to get all of them on the second floor of the barn.
Yeah, and Lord Baylor maybe not as good for Astragon as something like Bale Points would have been, because Bale Points just gives you a free set amount of points, whereas Lord Baylor is just moving 3 of your bales that you've already pressed and scoring them automatically. So really, it saved them time now that they can get out in the field and collect some newly pressed bales. But yeah, now behind by 6 points, behind by 5 bales, Cortiva are looking good with just over 2 minutes to go, even though it is this close. It could come down now to does someone make a mistake? Do bales fall off of the belt in a crucial moment? Does someone end up in the moat? All of the things that we've become accustomed to seeing in rounds that can often cost your team. But Cortiva, at the moment, just working methodically, and Astragon has to find a way to get this bale count evened out.
Yeah, one
which
bale.
they have done.
It
It's 9-9 now.
Yeah, one bale can make the difference, and in a way, Cortiva, they have a slight advantage, just, by one bale, by a couple of points. And but I mean, if they're gonna still deliver, let's say about 10 bales, so then it's gonna be that 2-point difference per bale. That's gonna be actually one bale, 20 points. So it can still go the other way around. So both teams, they kind of like, Astragon, they cannot afford any mistakes, and Cortiva, they cannot afford any mistakes. And in a way, there might be even chance that Astragon maybe can make a one mistake of their own, depending how it's going to go for Cortiva. So it's going to be a very tight call, and we can see just the last minute starting in. On the points, we can see that, yes, Cortiva is still on the lead, but it's only like 40 points the difference, actually, 42 points. So, and if there's still 8 bales to deliver, that's a small mistake.
I really think, Maddie, that that Astragon not having under pressure is costing them at the moment, because there for a minute they were at 9 bales to 9 and behind only by 6 points. Now they're down 32 points, which is almost that first bale difference, and they're really struggling to get back into it. But they have gone into the lead by 10 now. But I think if Cortiva makes sure they get all of these bales delivered, that they should go back into the lead. They've had to put one into the bottom, 684 to 682, Astragon in the lead. Here goes 2 bales onto the belt for Cortiva. That could make a difference, and it is going to be very close. Cortiva now, though, pushing them into the bottom to make sure they get the win, and we will, I think, just about, have the third of the best of 3, Maddie. Phew. Oh, man. We will have the third of the best of 3. Great job by Cortiva. Thanks again to everyone in chat for both having a good time and helping us out. And Felden caught for us there that in that round, Cortiva was able to score some bales with a 2.3 multiplier advantage. They had more bales overall. They had the advantage in the first bale, and they ended up winning by 15 points. And both of these teams are just super close, and it's going to be hard to separate. One of them is going to move on, and unfortunately one of them will be out after this next game, which seems harsh, but one of them, their weekend will end here.
Yeah, it would just, as I kind of like expected, that it's going to be a very close series, and that one bale of a difference is like, it's kind of like, hanging on that. So depending how many bales Astragon is going to deliver, and depending if there's going to be like a one mistake from either of the sides, that would have decided the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, well done. Well done, Cortiva. They will take the second game and they will bring the series to 1-1 scoreline. And that's going to mean that you're going to be still hearing lovely Alex, because when we're going to be disappearing from this screen, it's going to be Alex who's going to come back to the commentary.
Yeah, Alex gets a bonus game here this weekend. You guys are going to be kind enough to start things off for us on Saturday and Sunday, as it, as we've already determined, it's 3 a.m. my time. In fact, I just realized now I haven't got used to living in this new time zone, and we were talking earlier about times, and I was off by an hour. I've gained an hour, which is good. But I am streaming from the office now in the Chicago area, from the U.S. office of Giant Software. We do have the stream studio set up. So, I'll be making my way in the wee hours of the morning before the sun comes up. And I had a nice 14 Fahrenheit bike ride in this morning, Maddie. That's negative 10 Celsius. And yeah, it was pretty chilly getting in here. But I'm really happy to have the studio going.
Yeah, I was really surprised, because I mean I'm in Finland, and actually it's colder where Kevin is currently. So I don't really envy you currently. I mean, we have like -3 or something like that, but I don't have to go with a bike. I have a car and it's warm.
I was warm. I was warm enough. Trust me, I was bundled up on that bike. If I would have crashed, I probably had like enough of an airbag built in with all the layers and the jacket I had up. So Alex is back with me now, and Alex, it comes down to this for one of these two teams. Both of these teams deserved to, or earned, I should say, the right for 8th place, but because they ended up tied, one of them is harshly going to go out this weekend right here after about the next 15 minutes or so. What do you think about how Cortiva bounced back in that second one, though?
I would say my heart was pounding at the end of that last match. It felt so close sitting here and watching it. And I thought halfway through at that 8-minute mark, when I saw Cortiva go over and pick up the speed up rather than the bale multiplier, I thought that's a mistake. All that Astragon have to do now is just deliver bales while they've got this bale multiplier and they've got it sealed. And I was surprised. I was surprised that actually it didn't affect the game that much. And I think you're right. I think it was not having under pressure really hurt Astragon in the latter stages of that. I think it didn't matter while they had such a big multiplier in the first game. The second game, it really cost them.
2 more bales and make sure they get delivered, and they would have been fine there. Astragon. They would have been moving on. And so without under pressure, you're right. I think it really was what made the difference. So I'm interested to see. It looks like, though, Astragon are probably going to go for the same setup. We'll see if they decide to not pick up under pressure again, and presumably that's going to be what happens here. It could,
Considering
work
that
out in
they're
their
two,
favor.
I was gonna say, considering their two bailers are now on there, their two bailing players are there, and neither of them got under pressure. Yeah, they're
Right.
they're going.
It
That's
worked for
that.
the first round. I mean, they
Ah,
did win that first round. So, like, you don't want to, I guess, overreact too much just because you lost a round. It also, like, they could really do with a better execution of the first bail this round, because they have lost out by 30 points or more in each of the first two rounds on the first bail. It didn't cost them in the first round. If they would have been able to get that amount closer and have just one more bail delivered, they would have won and been moving on to tomorrow. So a better execution at the start could go a long way for both of these teams here.
I think the thing to watch here in the start is which combines do Astragon get. If they can beat Cortiva to the
There you
ideal,
go.
I think they're in with a chance. Because not having the under pressure means they need to get that advantage they had last time. And as we know, those ideal combines hold so much more grain than the other combines. And yeah,
Right.
they are in with a really good shot now.
Yeah, they need to make sure they have a better execution of the delivery of the first bail, too. And it looks like it's going to be a lot closer, at least on the timing of when the teams will be headed to the barn. Cortiva are a little bit further away from the bridges, so if Matza fixes how he's been angling in on the delivery, he's actually going to take this first drawbridge here. He's gotten the angle wrong each of the first two rounds. And it's hard with these bigger tractors to make sure you don't clip the conveyor belt. This is looking to be much better from Matza. And in fact, for the first time in the 3 rounds, it's going to be Astragon delivering the first bale first, Alex. And that is really a big moment for them and might make them a little bit more confident in this third of the best of 3. Rablix now is getting his in. So this is the smallest gap we've seen. So both teams within 12 points of each other. That's just one bale difference, really, less than one bale, depending on the multiplier. But more importantly, I think for Astragon, it's the first time they've had the advantage. And Alex, it could have come down to a little bit of disruption there. One of your favorite words.
I think so. I mean, this is a really, really strong start here from Astragon. They disrupted Cortiva when they started, and grabbing that ideal combine, and now they are with it. Now they're ahead in the bail points. So again, there's disruption coming in there. This is such a strong start for Astragon here.
Yeah, and Astragon have also had the grain advantage, the multiplier advantage in each of the first 2 rounds. So now that Astragon have kind of fixed their biggest error from the first 2 rounds in the first bale, I think it's now on Cortiva to make sure that they aren't falling behind on the multiplier so that they aren't losing out on extra points. It's going to be really close, Alex. And I mean, both of these teams are even in the standings, of course, in 8th place. That's why we're even having this decision matchup here on the Friday before the World Championships. Now, Lami's having to waste a bit of grain as he waits for Rablix so that he can keep harvesting, and a little bit of time wasted there now for Cortiva. But back to what I was saying, both of these teams are really close, and it's shaping up to potentially be a really close round here to decide who moves on and whose weekend ends here in this moment, Alex. And wow, I'm excited for the weekend ahead for sure.
Absolutely, this is so close.
Rablix now coming in, and Matza both with some grain. So the first bit of grain delivery here for both teams. Lovely work by our producers in the studio in Germany, showing us the different camera angles. I'm really excited we finally have a LAN event this season for the World Championships. We've already seen some shots of the teams walking in and sitting at their stations, the anguish and the excitement on their faces as things go their way or against them. And now we are pretty even on the multiplier at the moment. As I think Alex is, if you know Virtual Farmer, if you've ever watched his streams, you know all about his rural internet that he deals with. So he's going to be rejoining us here in just a moment. So I'm flying solo for the time being, 126 to 114. Both teams did pick up speed limits, and it was 20% for each of them. So pretty much canceled each other out with the 12th minute drops. And Rablik's now rolling up and getting some Grand Matza, about to do the same. Lami, Rablix, and Lucas in your shot. Elite Cafe, Matza, and Major Melon there. By the way, I want some clarification because his name used to be spelled Malone, and now it's just Melon. And I want to know what's the right thing to say. I've seen Jenny lurking in chat. We also have our lovely producers. It'd be great if we could get some clarification on what's the right thing to say for his team, because I don't want to be getting it wrong. Astragon now bringing in some grain. Alex, are you back with us?
And hopefully, yeah, I am. I think I am. Rural internet
Yeah, I hear
is
you.
fun. Yes, I think it's evened out, and I think we're back. Yeah,
Good.
it's. I've got a little bit of a choppy image at the moment, but yeah, Astragon delivering grain is fantastic. Going a little bit ahead. They need to get that multiplier ahead for the way they've been playing. So interesting to see if they get that.
Yeah, still we only have the first bail points on the board, but that's pretty usual. We're approaching the 8th minute mark. We're going to have our 8th minute drops. And Astragon now are starting to press bails. I think this is smart, Alex, because up until this point, last round, they had not really pressed any bails. They did get the bail multiplier and were able to score 1 or 2. But now they are 4 bails ahead, and they need to try to get ahead right now, because without under pressure, we talked about it already, that's what cost them in that second round, was they fell behind in the bail count later on. So as far ahead as they can get now in the bail count, the better, as we have direct delivery and bridges raised this time. Direct delivery, if you're nearby, I mean, might be worth it, but it needs to be someone not in a combine to fully take advantage of it. That'll put the multiplier slowly going up for you for 30 seconds as you're harvesting.
I think, and the trouble with direct delivery is that it's at a lower grain multiplier than the trailer, so you want to try and avoid that. I think raising the bridges is probably the better way to go. And Cortiva going for exactly that.
Thanks to everyone in chat for helping us out as always. Yeah, I think I'm going to start going with Melon, because I swear it used to have an E on the end. But now it doesn't. So Major Melon, that's what we're going with. I've been calling him Malone all year. Maybe I'm making it up in my head that at least on the website last year it had an E on the end. I swear it did. You have a limited amount of characters, of course, in the game, so that wouldn't have fit. But I digress now. That's not that important. You all know who he is. You know he plays for Astragon. And both teams now are delivering their grain and trying to even things out. 4 bail advantage at the moment for Astragon. 126 to 114. Still only those first Bale points on the board. It's going to start changing here soon, though, as here comes Caffey with some Bales for Astragon. A lot to play for here. The team
I'm just
that
trying
wins,
to see the comparison in the number of Bales.
Yeah, it's 10 to 8 at
let's
the
see.
moment.
Did I see Cortiva had dropped some grain on the floor?
They did that earlier as well, and right now they do have some extra grain. Let's see if it's going to cost them or not. Caffey is going to start scoring some Bales. Oh, able to save that second one. I think that first one might just about stay on. It's a little bit crooked. Bridges raised, picked up by Cortiva in the 8th minute, and that still is active. They waited until later in the round to go for it. Let's see where we're going to end up, Alex, in the multiplier. Nice little lead now for Astragon, and it is another advantage.
It is.
So Astragon is still in the lead this time and still coming out on top with the multiplier advantage. So they are in a really strong position at the moment. I know there's still a lot of time really and a lot of Bales left to score, but 2 extra Bales per Bale, or 2 extra points per Bale, and being able to be this far into the lead, they are looking a lot better so far this time around. Oh man, and having a look here and crashing into the frame of the drawbridge, and just the Bales absolutely flying all over the place. It's a multiplier switch, and Matza and Major Melon are there and gonna ignore it, and I don't blame them. It does not really make a difference at this point, especially given that that is probably the least effective super drop unless you're able to take advantage of it. It does not last for a long time. Cortiva have grabbed it. It's only going to last for 20 seconds, but they are able to potentially take advantage here and score these 3 Bales at 21 points per piece. So that actually was a good bit of play there by Cortiva. Did they get all 3 in, though? I don't think they did. And really, that's given them, if they did get all 3 in, that's the 6 extra points and that a bit of time. And they did have to spend the time to go and grab the drop and presumably go out of their way. So now Cortiva is in the lead, but they are behind on the Bale count now by 5. Astragon has responded really well here based off of what happened in that second round when they came out second best. Cortiva back into the lead. Alex, are you still there with me? Is your internet behaving itself? I take that as a no.
I'm here, I think.
There he is. Maybe slightly delayed at the moment.
Oh,
Slightly
it's 6
delayed
p.m.
and a
and
little
all
bit
of
choppy.
Norfolk is online. So, right. Hopefully this will hold
So
out.
4-point lead.
Yeah, 2.1 to 1.9. That is
460 to
I
422
think
now.
Astragon are a really
It's just
good
going
place.
back and forth. Yeah, Astragon are looking good. You're right. They're ahead now by nearly 60 points.
Cool.
And a crash now by Lucas. And Lamy is crashed on the
just
safer
not-
route. It's all going wrong for Cortiva at the moment. Crumbling
Pressure's
under
got
the
to
pressure
them.
here.
They really are. That's not good. And look
Meanwhile, the
at that.
Bale-tastic for Astragon.
Fantastic.
And that is the nail in the coffin. That has to be.
That has got to be all over for Cortiva now. Astragon just coming out this third game and fighting like hell.
Tony Myth coming in with a raid at the moment over on Twitch.
And
Thanks so much, Tony, Giants partner. overall decent guy, the bad boy of Farm Sim, he's calling himself these days. Maybe that's true. We'll let you be the
fellow
judge.
Red Dirt Rough Rider.
There you go. 6:24, actually 6:45 to 5:17, 45 seconds to go. I think it's really a shame here. We saw two pretty close first rounds, and this is likely going to be the biggest gap that we've seen. Astragon getting the Baltastic there because of the mistakes made by Cortiva. They crashed on the drawbridge and got stuck there. There you see them going to collect a bale now. They also crashed on the safer route on the stone bridge and ended up in the moat and were unable to counter that Baltastic combo. And now Astragon into the lead, 739 to 604, and a really good third round. I think even without those mistakes, even without the Baltastic, Astragon are going to come out on top here. And there you see them nice and happy and excited. So it's an unfortunate end to the season for Cortiva, as their moment here at the World Championships ends on the Friday in this 8th place decision match. We had to get this settled first before we could move on to the rest of the action that's going to kick off tomorrow morning starting at 10 a.m. Central European time. So 749 to 623. The bale count was pretty even, but the Baltastic and the extra bale points, the first bale, all went into the favor of Astragon in that round. So congratulations to Astragon. Also, congratulations to Cortiva as well. They earned the right to make it to the weekend. Unfortunately for them, they had to settle who was in 8th place and who moved on. As you see, the two teams now shaking hands, and we are going to this weekend be able to have a little of a special treat compared to the rest of the season. We're going to have interviews with the winning captain of each team. So Niels, one of our producers, is going to be helping us out with that. And so congratulations to Astragon. Yeah, great first match. Second one, not so good. And then they felt a little bit more confident in the third. Thank you to all the Danish people. And Matza also wants to say thank you to the SGA FSL team and stream team in North America. So shouting out his friends and the people who have helped Astragon be able to practice this year. Yeah, well done and congratulations, Stephen is saying to Matza now. And it changed in 1 minute. Matza is now saying now, oh, we changed tactic on Wednesday. Astragon decided to change tactics only on Wednesday and decided just a few days ago to change their tactic against Cortiva to be able to give them advantage, and it worked. And then, yeah, first match tomorrow is against Trelleborg. What do you think about that? You deserve it, though. Good luck tomorrow, they've told him now. And cool. So congratulations to Astragon there, and they will move on as the 8th seed. They're going to face off against Trelleborg, guys. And we have Maddie back with us now, and Virtual Farmer as well. We're going to have a look now at the highlights. So Maddie, what do you think about Astragon's performance? A strong first round, a strong third round, a little shaky in the second round, though.
Yeah, I mean, great comeback from Cortiva on the second game, but I mean, Astragon definitely showing here on the last game of the series that they definitely earned the spot to be on the World Championship. So I think that in the end the difference was quite clear. So it wasn't that we had like three thrillers in a row. It was more like couple games with a big margin, then Cortiva managed to make that one comeback to stretch it all the way to the third game. So in a way, I can definitely easily say that we have the right team on the World Championships. And of course, congratulations to Astragon from my behalf as well. And of course, like I'm very unfortunate for Cortiva, but they made a very strong showing this year in general. So I think that they just have to hone the strategies a little bit for the next season, and then we'll see probably a huge, massive comeback from them.
Yeah, Alex, I mean, what do you think as we're seeing now the action at the safer route? This is the second round, I believe, that we're having a look at now where Cortiva were able to come out on top. But Astragon, it's interesting that they switched tactics only a few days ago. You're talking about 2 days ago, they decided to give us our best chance to win against Cortiva. Let's change our tactic. What do you think about that, Alex?
I think that's a really interesting way to go. A little bit risky. I think it paid off, and I think by the third game they'd really got it down. That tactic was and how they were going to do it. Getting that first bail in nice and early in that third game really helped them. But also getting that ideal combine. Their tactics seem to be deliver more grain than their opponents did, and that ideal combine is absolutely essential to that tactic. So yeah, they did in getting it and getting it implemented. I think it's going to be harder to do against some of the other top 8 teams. So we'll see how well the tactic works, but I think it is a solid one if they can pull it off.
Yeah, and we're now having a look at pretty much the moment that ended it for Cortiva. The bales went flying on the drawbridge. The tractor and baler ended up in the water via the safer route. And congratulations to Astragon now for moving on. And we're going to show you guys kind of how things are shaping up for the weekend here in just a moment, now that the highlights are settled. So first of all, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. All three of us back on camera, and it's been a great start. Maddie, we still have a lot of stuff to show this weekend.
I mean, definitely. There's going to be soon a graphic about the matchup that we're going to be seeing tomorrow. That we're going to see in a matter of seconds. I think we're going to be seeing the some kind of a point situation as well. So that should be coming on the screen as well as we speak right now. So that is the final standings. So the top 8 is going to be proceeding all the way to the grand finals, and Astragon is going to claim that final point. And of course, we know already that Astragon is going to be facing Trelleborg on their first game tomorrow, which is not the easiest opponent, as we can see clearly from the graphics as well. But yeah, that's the situation. And one thing I want to mention about strategies, because there was a discussion about chasing the strategy on Wednesday. So in a way, we have seen this. We spoke briefly during the second game that the strategies have been evolving this season, and I think we have seen slowly many of the teams kind of like changing the strategies. I think there was only a couple of teams first who started to play the long game with the grain, and now just one team after another is changing the same strategy. So in a way, I think that they made the right call. But here we have the groups for tomorrow, so it's going to be time for Alex to explain this.
Yeah, so first game tomorrow, we got Trelleborg versus Astragon, as we said. Then I missed the ones. New Holland versus
Mind Sanity versus Bednar.
Ultra is the there we go. And then Dirk Enfield versus Lindner, I think, was the final 2 games there. Oh,
correct. Yeah, New Holland, of course, for the first time. I've already been catching myself still saying Vermeers today. I need to work that out of my system for the weekend because, I mean, of course, Trelleborg and Vermeers. See, I've already said it. Trelleborg and New Holland have to be favorites, wouldn't you say, Alex, going into the weekend to make the final, just based off of what we've seen throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, New Holland having such a strong back end to the season. Trelleborg being on form all season. I think the smart money is probably on a final between those two. I think if it comes to that, It's going to be very difficult to pick a winner. It could go either way. And New Holland sitting there in that final very, very easily could find the extra bits to beat Trelleborg for a second time. So I think it's going to be a very
Right.
exciting weekend.
All 8 teams, though, have a chance. Just getting here is the most
Oh,
important thing. It is double
absolutely.
elimination as well. So even for Astragon, yeah, now they have to face Trelleborg, but they don't have to stress that if they drop that one, that the weekend ends there for them. They have another chance to bounce back. For me, I said it earlier, Maddie. I think that my pick of the first 4 games is in Group A, My Insanity against Bednar. We're talking about 2 teams who have been kind of throughout the season moving through about the 3rd through 5th and 6th places. They're going to be squaring off tomorrow. My Insanity is the 3rd seed, but if they don't come and bring their A game, Bednar could cause an upset straight away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think all the games in a way they are interesting. Tomorrow, of course, we have some lineups where we have a lot of, let's say, expectations about those. When we have Trelleborg, for example, playing with the Astragon, so we have mentioned that multiple times. So, but that's one of the closest series, which you pointed out, the My Insanity one. That is one of the most closest series tomorrow. And of course, as it's a double elimination bracket, so nobody will be completely dropping after the first game.
Right. 8 games tomorrow, and that's just the start of it. We'll see you then, 10 a.m. Central European time. Until then.